Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. In this video I start the renovation of my $9,000 house that I did a tour in the previous video. You'll remember that the house was extra dirty with plenty of stuff left over, trash, refrigerator full of junk. I went ahead and just got that cleaned up off camera. There's nothing to it, you just bag it all up and throw it away. After several trips to the landfill, the house was all cleaned up. And a lot of people seem to think that the filthiness of a house like this is a huge deal, but that's just part of buying houses this cheap. In this video, I'll be starting the demolition in the upstairs bathroom, then moving downstairs into the kitchen. I'm in the upstairs back bedroom and working out some problems. Let me go ahead and show you. Got some different electrical issues. You can see I've got everything pulled loose now. Basically what was going on in here is the electric comes up from the breaker box to this receptacle, then it goes from this receptacle up to the switch, and then it goes from the switch to the light, and then from this light it runs over to this to the switch in the bathroom, down to this, and then up to the light. So when you come in this bedroom and you flip this switch here, that turns on this light. That's what gives power to the bathroom. So clearly that's wrong. So in order to turn the bathroom light on, you have to have the switch on to the bedroom. And then the access to the bathroom is only through this bedroom. So you can see where that would be problematic. I also had problems here in the front bedroom. The switch and the receptacle below the switch did not work, meaning the light in here didn't work and that receptacle down below it didn't work. Pulled the light off. There was no current coming to the light at all, and the way this is wired to where the power goes to the light and then down to the switch. But how the power gets to the light is the line running from the breaker box goes into this receptacle, then it runs up to the light, and then a wire comes down to the switch, which is perfectly fine. You just wire the line to the white load wire, and then you put the black and white that remains to the light, and then that's what actually is hooked up to the switch. So I ended up busting holes in the walls here and there to figure out where wires were running and got it all figured out. So this looks kind of crazy, but this is absolutely the minimum holes I needed to knock and stuff to figure out where things are. But that's no big deal. I'll just cut this stuff out more evenly back to the framing and then patch in these spots. This is just where I pulled the register out to be able to access up in there as well. So basically what I did is I was pulling out wires, reaching up in there, seeing if I could feel where the wires were running to get a general idea. I thought this wire was running straight over here and maybe going to a different receptacle, and that's where the power was coming from, but it came over, hit a joist, and then wrapped around and went back over here. So the other thing I did is undid this wire and then plugged the bare wires into an extension cord, and then I would then knock holes up in here and was checking the power on wires, and that I can just check to see if a wire's hot, unplug it, see if it's not hot anymore, plug it back in, that kind of thing. Checking wires here, and then you can label everything and start to kind of figure out what the issues are. The problem in here ended up being, I don't want to say funny, but it was kind of funny. I even text messaged the old owner and asked if they knew what the deal was with the electric before I started knocking holes in the walls. If they just said something like, "Oh yeah, in the attic there's a junction box and I unplugged that one time because I was doing something." He just said that it didn't work the 17 years that he lived here. So he used this house for 17 years without this light working or that receptacle working. If just one receptacle doesn't work, it's no big deal. But not having your light work would be annoying, because that means every time you come in you would have to flip on a lamp or something like that. Everything in here was wired pretty much correctly, but the problem is they never actually ran the power to the room. So all this was wired up, but there wasn't a connection to the actual breaker panel. So what I ended up doing, this right here is a duct, is what's behind this enclosed corner. It used to be where the chimney was in the house, and then the chimney was removed, and then the holes through the floors They use that to run the ductwork all the way up to the attic, and then that's distributed down through the ceilings, and then they just box in around it. Well, I ran a wire all the way through from the attic down through the second floor, down through the first floor into the basement, and then connected to the breaker panel on a blank spot that it had in the panel. So just ran the wire up into the attic into a junction box that the wire for all this was already connected into, and then hooked it to the power. So now I've got power in this room. So I have a 12 gauge wire on a 20 amp circuit to run a light and one receptacle, which is pretty funny. But that's okay. And again, I'm just going to patch all that up. So that was a long-winded example. That's just the kind of stuff that you end up having to do when you're fooling with an old house like this, especially ones that have been kind of worked on multiple times. You end up with a whole lot of funny business like that. Here in the bathroom, so some people are probably going, why didn't you show that in a video? I just didn't feel like that kind of stuff's very frustrating to figure out, and I mean, I'm going up and down ladders and back and forth in the room. There's nothing really to film in that. I'm just knocking holes in the walls. In the bathroom, I already pulled the ceiling out because there is a roof leak, and then they just had Luan nailed up as the ceiling. So I'm kind of waiting for it to rain again, and I want to see where it's leaking. You can see the mold that's growing in there. People think this is a big deal. I'm just going to spray some bleach water on it. That's going to kill it. Plus, keep in mind it's in an attic. Once the leak stops, it's going to be a bazillion degrees in here. Nothing grows in an attic once it's dried out. It's just going to dry all this out, bone dry. There's nothing rotten. It's just a leak that's been happening slowly over the past probably year or so, and it's just gotten a little funky up in there. So I've got it all pulled out to where it's dry now, and regardless of where the leak is, the whole house is getting a new roof. But this little small spot here, there was a cross piece here, and that's the attic access. That's only like 16 inches square. I'm no big guy, but this is a shallow pitched roof, so when you get close to the eaves, it gets real tight. So this is a really tight spot to crawl up through. So I was coming up a ladder, and I even tried knocking that piece out. But even with the ceiling gone, it was so tough to get over here. I was growling and grunting, crawling over there, and then even when you're over there, you forget one thing, and you've got to crawl out. It was terrible. So I said, forget that. And I just came in here and knocked a hole right in the ceiling where I needed to do my work. So that yellow wire is the new service coming in. The white wire coming out here, that runs back down into that bedroom. And then there's the just a light in the attic that was already there. So I just tied that into the box. And then you see that piece of Romex there. That's this roll here. So I'm about to redo the bathroom. So I'm going to use that to run the light and the receptacle in the bathroom. So that's basically, it's going to be 2 lights and 2 receptacles on that one 20 amp circuit. And yeah, it is kind of in funny places, but that's just the way it is here. And it's perfectly fine. There's nothing going to be wrong with it. So as far as the bathroom goes, again, you have to get to it from the, I'll call this the master bedroom. So the other bedroom, you have to come through the room to get to it. So who wants to do that? So what I'm going to do is rearrange everything. The bathtub is coming out. Well, everything's going to come out of here. I'm going to gut the whole bathroom. And then the closet for the bedroom, I'm knocking the wall out. This will get closed in. The bathtub's basically going to be where the closet's at. And then I don't know where I'm going to locate everything else. The limitation in here is going to be the window there. And then I'll have to redo the plumbing. And then the plumbing goes down through the wall that's in the kitchen. So I'm going to have to unscrew the cabinets and open up the wall in the kitchen to get the plumbing reconnected. And then once it's down in the basement, it's not going to be a problem. All the stuff in the basement's in an easy location to rearrange everything. So I'll be keeping the vanity, and I'll be keeping the toilet most likely. The bathtub will not work because bathtubs are either right hand or left hand. So I need the opposite of this one. And then the enclosure is going to get ripped to shreds pulling it out. So I'm going to go ahead and start busting some stuff up.
chickens the skin and bone in. So, Mike, thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
I've got the kitchen cleared out. And the next thing I'm going to do is tear the ceiling out, and then I'm probably going to rip the drywall completely off of this wall here because I'm going to be having plumbing coming down into them. I'm considering, and y'all know how I feel about drywall, I'm considering tearing this wall out to the drywall here to where I can put the insulation. There's no insulation in any of these walls, so while I've got things torn apart, I'm thinking about going ahead and insulating. I'll be doing the same thing upstairs in the bathroom area, in the bedroom, so I might go ahead and do it down here as well, to where while I'm having the drywall done, or if God forbid I make the mistake of thinking it's a good idea to do it myself, I'll already have the insulation in. And then if I was to have blow-in insulation done throughout the house, there'd be a couple less rooms to do it in, since I'm already doing work. The reason I'm filming this little clip here where I'm running my mouth is I want to talk about electricity. When you start ripping into stuff, pulling out ceilings, pulling out walls, make sure you got your breakers turned off. So just, I went in the basement and I turned off every breaker that had anything to do with the kitchen. And then I've come back up here. I've got this little tester right here. Doesn't matter if you can see it good. That just plugs in, and some sort of lights will come on it. This is a little thing that tests circuits to make sure you got stuff wired correctly. You can also use one of these. I call them a sniffer, but it just checks for live wires. You can use this, of course, up in your ceiling, any kind of loose wires when you're tracking down problems, whatever it is you're doing. I flipped everything off, and you would think that's enough. Tested everything, but the light's still coming on. And I flipped off the breaker that said kitchen light, but it's not turning off. When you're working on old houses, that's something you always have to keep in mind. Usually the wiring in some way is a mess. So this could have at some other time been tied into a different circuit, probably something upstairs maybe. And then I have the one turned off for this little fake bathroom as well. So now I need to figure out how to turn this off. Here's a ceiling in the kitchen. So what we've got here are 2x8 floor joists, and then there's some additional 2x6s that were put in for drywall. So I'm going to get rid of the 2x6s, sister on some new 2x8s to the old 2x8s. That'll stiffen the floor up and then give a nice clean surface to nail off the new drywall. I started this renovation several months ago while posting on the Brick Ranch, but it won't take long for the videos to catch up to where I'm actually at in the project. Once that happens, I'm hoping to do some new things with my channel, showing you more detail on specific tasks. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the videos, and if you're curious about how I buy houses so cheap, check out my ebook. The link is in the description below. I'm also excited to announce that I have started a new YouTube channel. Yes, another one that makes like 4, I believe. This one's going to be on the processes behind buying houses, the financial aspects of it, motivation, lifestyle, kind of everything to do with investing. Probably be heavy on real estate, but we're going to talk about other stuff as well, and new things that I learn along the way. I'm hoping that this is an interactive channel where I kind of a call and response, basically, where y'all kind of ask questions, then I produce videos on them, then you ask more questions, and it just turns into this back and forth way that we can all, not just me and you, but you all kind of collectively together in the comments, and then I'll take my cues from that in making videos. So head on over, the link is in the description below, leave some thumbs up, some comments, share the channel, and make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications because I'll be posting frequently. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.